How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Falcons Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to the movie review, aka after I saw review video for today. This time for this new episode for this series is going to be my review on the 2023 supernatural horror film, and this is the 5th installment of this series as well, and that is Insidious: The Red Door. Now, this is directed by Patrick Wilson, and this is actually his very first film as a director, and you may know this name for being a well-known actor through films such as the first two Insidious films, The Conjuring universe, and Aquaman, amongst other things. And this is a direct sequel to the first two Insidious films. So this continues on after the events of the last film. And so the story of the film is that the Lamberts must go deeper into the further than ever before to put their demons to rest once and for all. So that's pretty much the plot synopsis I can pretty much say for Insidious: The Red Door. Now, when it comes to the Insidious franchise myself, I tend to enjoy this series quite a bit. Like, I really enjoy these movies, yeah. The first movie, which came out back in 2010, I thought was a really good, creepy horror movie, and it's one of my favorite horror films of the last decade. And Insidious Chapter 2, I think that sequel is really underrated because not much people really talk about that one, but I thought that one was solidly good, although it wasn't as good as the first film though. But again, I do think that film is a bit underrated. The third movie, which that one's actually a prequel to the original film, I thought that one was pretty enjoyable, that one. And the last film that we did get, which was Insidious: The Last Key, which came out back in 2018, it wasn't as good as Chapter 3 or the first two films or anything like that, and it's by far my least favorite of the franchise, but I didn't hate that film. I thought that film was decent overall, and so when I heard we were getting a new Insidious movie, I was looking forward to it, but I was also a little bit curious as well, because I didn't even know was this going to be another worthy one or anything like that. But it was great to see Patrick Wilson coming back to do this one, as well as Simpkins and Byrne, who were in the first two films. And I didn't even know this one was actually going to be a direct sequel to the first two Insidious films. I thought this was going to be another prequel, because the last two ones we did get were prequels, and so. And I was also really surprised that Patrick Wilson was going to be behind the cameras for this one, because he's never directed the film before, so I was really excited to see what he was going to do to direct this new entry to the Insidious franchise. And so I saw this film on opening day, which was on the 7th of July, and there was quite a lot of people on the screen that I was in. And after watching this movie, I could definitely tell you guys that I definitely had a really good time with Insidious: The Red Door. And I can also say as well, I enjoyed this one a lot more than the last film here. Although I wouldn't say it is the best in the series or anything like that. This is nowhere near as better than the original film or anything like that. But this is still a good solid entry to the series here overall. For Patrick Wilson's performance as Josh in this movie, I thought he was great here once again, like he was in the last two films, and I really felt for his character a lot in this film, because things have changed a lot for him as well as his family, because for his family, everyone is now changed. Like, his marriage with Renee is now over, and they're now divorced, and his son Dalton is about to go to college where he wants to do art, and also his son is not getting along with anyone in this family or anything like that, since they're now divorced. And speaking of Dalton, for Ty Simpkins' performance as Dalton, I thought he was great here as well, like he was in the last two films. And Byrne as Renee was also great as well, although she's not in the movie that much, but she is still good for the most part. And everyone else, for the most part, I thought they all did a solid job for their performances here as well. And when it gets to the whole creepy atmosphere for this film, I thought it was solidly executed here. When it gets to the tense moments, which I thought were well done, the music, which I thought was pretty effective, the jump scares, which there were a few I thought were pretty solid, but there were a few I thought weren't even that creative and all that, and that's one of the few flaws I do have with this film here. And the three acts of the film I thought were pretty solid as well, especially the final act of the film, which I thought was really exciting. And even the direction by Patrick Wilson for everything he was able to capture on camera here was really well made here, through everything that I said that this whole film showcased here when it gets to the whole creepy atmosphere for this film. And as for the tone for the film, it is another issue I did have with this film, because the tone for this film did feel kind of awkward at times. Even though this film still manages to provide its seriousness and all that when it gets to the whole creepy atmosphere for the film, it's just that there's one tone in the film which I felt didn't need to be put in here. It's where they use a bit of comedy. Like, there's a scene where we see Dalton and this girl go to a party and all that, and I felt like it didn't need to be put into the film and all that, and it did kind of put me off guard while I was watching the film. And as for the writing for the film, I did find it a bit cheesy in a few parts, for even through its tones as well. Like, there are some cheesy lines of dialogue through serious moments, as well as for some comedic moments and all of that. And that's another flaw I did have with this film here. But in the end, guys, Insidious: The Red Door, this was a good solid entry to the Insidious franchise here. And I can definitely say as well, I enjoyed this one a lot more than the last film here. But again, this is nowhere near as better than the original film or anything like that. But if you are a huge fan of this franchise or the cast or anything like that, you may have a really good time with this new entry to the franchise here. And if it is still playing at a local cinema near you, I highly recommend you see this one with either your best friend friends here. So that's pretty much all to say about Insidious The Red Door. I'm going to give Insidious The Red Door 3.5 out of 5. Despite being flawed here, I still managed to have a good time with this new entry to the franchise here. So thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After I Saw review on Insidious The Red Door, and let me know what you think of this new entry to the series if you have seen this already, or if you just recently checked out this new entry to the series. Did you have a really good time with this, or was it not really a popcorn treat? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.